I've been starting and running side hustles for over 3 years. I run a sticker shop that's made over 6 figures. I run this YouTube channel that you're watching right now. And earlier this year, I started another shop selling digital products. Adding these income streams has been a game changer when it comes to my personal finance and my journey towards financial freedom. And especially with the economy the way it is today, side hustles is something that I'm always recommending to people. But one of the biggest hurdles that people face when starting is coming up with a solid idea. So in this video, I'll be sharing 12 ideas that I think would be good to start today. A big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. More on them later. After starting my digital shop, I've seen firsthand the benefits that digital products have over physical. So this video will be focused on digital products only. Just like my other videos, I'll be using Etsy shops as examples because they're one of the few platforms that publicly provides proof of sales. But you could start these on any platform or marketplace you want, or even your own website. Also, I won't be providing specific Etsy shop names in this video because I don't know if these shops want to be featured or not. If you're interested, you can always do a search for the niche yourself and find them, or similar shops in the category. For a lot of people, there's nothing more important than family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
It's not surprising then when people are looking for art for their homes, they choose something that celebrates family. And if you take a look on Etsy, you'll find a lot of shops doing really well selling these types of prints. There's a few different approaches I see when browsing this niche, but the most successful ones are the ones that center around personalization. There are shops selling portrait type prints of family members. Customers are able to customize how many family members are included with custom options for how they look. And some shops are selling stylized paintings of their family homes. Taking a look at this shop, you can see that they have a 29,810 sales, with an estimated average price of around $55. This brings their total revenue to $1,639,550. They started this in 2018, so they did this in less than 6 years. For skills, you're gonna need some pretty good artistic talent to do this, but I do see some shops using AI generated art as well. From what I'm seeing though, the shops that are making this art by hand are able to charge more for their products. And I'm not sure about Etsy's policy on AI generated art or if it's gonna change in the future. So it's really up to you to decide if that's something that you wanna do. So for skills required, I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 if you're doing it yourself, and 1 out of 5 if you're using AI, because it really doesn't take much to create AI art these days. For passiveness, people who are ordering this want something custom for their family. That's the whole point. So even though these are digital products and you don't have to make and ship anything physical yourself, you still have to create each customized one for each customer that you get. If you're going for family portraits, you may be able to reuse some of the art that you make, and you can cut down on the time it takes by using scripts. So that's gonna affect it as well. So for passiveness, I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. For print on demand, this is something that's optional. If you're new to the space, print on demand is a fulfillment method where you send your digital designs to a partner company for them to produce the physical products. They'll take your design, make a physical product, and send them to your customer on your behalf. In the case of this example, you'll send them the art that you made digitally, they'll print it on the type of paper that you choose and at the size that your customer wants, and they'll ship it straight to your customer without you doing anything at all. This is something that I've actually shifted my digital product shop to, and the benefit of this is that generally, you can make more profit per sale. For example, the shop here I found is selling digital prints for $55. If a customer wants a physical print in a 16 by 20 size, the price is $107. Depending on the type of paper and the print on demand provider that you go with, the cost to make this can be less than $20. So instead of making $55 in profit before fees, you'll be making somewhere around $87. For me, this is a win-win because the customer gets a better product. They get something that they can hang on their walls right away. And for you, you still don't have to touch a physical product at all. You don't have to have printers or an inventory of papers. You'll just be making more money. I will be going more into print on demand and my personal experience with it in the future. So if you're interested, you can subscribe. In a time where everything seems to be going digital, activities that don't require a screen are making a comeback. People are looking for ways to spend quality time with each other, and one of the ways that they're doing it is through board games and party games. A shop in this niche is selling printable family reunion games, bridal shower games, work party games, games for pretty much every occasion. They've gotten 64,986 sales, and with an average price of around $8, that's $519,888 in total revenue. They started their shop in 2019, so they've done that in about 4 years. For skills, I'm not sure what it takes to come up with a game that people have fun playing, but design-wise, these games are pretty simple. You really just need a basic understanding of programs like Photoshop or Canva, and I feel you can easily make these. So for skills required, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. In terms of passiveness, this is really passive. These are digital files that your customers will download, print, and cut themselves. If you dig a little deeper, you'll find that some of these are editable to add names of players or family members, but there's nothing that you have to do on your end. So for passiveness, this gets a 5 out of 5. For print on demand, I don't see an obvious way to add it here. Since most of these game pieces are different sizes and smaller than a letter size piece of paper, I can only see them wanting to print these out themselves. I don't see any of them paying extra to have a physical copy. So print on demand gets a no. According to Forbes, the average cost of a wedding in the US so far this year is $33,000. While there was a slowdown during the pandemic, large weddings are back in a big way. Putting together a large wedding requires a lot of work. There's a lot of moving pieces. One way that businesses are providing value to these couples is through digital wedding planners. This shop here sells planners and checklists for weddings, and they've gotten 16,389 sales. With an average price of around $12, that brings their total revenue to $196,668. They're a relatively new shop starting in 2022, so they've done this in less than 2 years. For skills required, it doesn't take much to make these. Some of these look like they've been made with Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. These planners really just contain checklists and tables to help couples organize their information, like venue options, payments, or schedules. So for skills required, I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5. For passiveness, this niche is really great. These are digital files that don't require any customization. You make these files once and you can sell them an unlimited amount of times without doing any extra work. So passiveness gets a 5 out of 5. For print on demand, again, I don't see an obvious way to add this here. Most couples will just want to download this and print them out themselves. So print on demand gets a no. At this point, you might be looking at my ratings and thinking that they're backwards. If something requires a low amount of skill, shouldn't that get a 5 out of 5 because isn't that a good thing? After doing this for over 3 years, and especially with digital products, I found that it's actually not a good thing. When an opportunity requires a low amount of skill to do something, generally that means there's a lot more people doing it. This leads to an increase in competition and a downward pressure on prices. Over time, when more and more businesses enter a niche, they start undercutting each other on price. And this makes it really hard for anyone to make any profits. So if you're young or you haven't had the chance to develop marketable skills yet, my advice wouldn't be to look for low-skilled opportunities. It'd be to actually increase the skills that you have. Which brings us to today's sponsor, Skillshare. If you're an old friend of the channel, you'll know that I have a background in graphic design, but what you might not know is that I'm actually self-taught. Everything I know about graphic design comes from reading books and watching online videos and classes. And a big part of that journey was Skillshare. Before I started my sticker shop, I took a bunch of courses from designer Aaron Draplin. His classes on Skillshare include everything from the foundations of design like shape, style, and color to the business side of it as well. He became one of my biggest inspirations, and his classes were one of the main reasons I was able to develop my skills enough to the point where people were wanting to pay for my work. Also, before I started this YouTube channel, I didn't know a thing about making or editing videos. To get enough skills to make and upload my first video, I turned to Skillshare again. I took a class by fellow YouTuber Ali Abdal called Video Editing with Final Cut Pro from Beginner to YouTuber, and I literally followed that class to upload my first video here on the channel. And as you can see, 3 years later, I'm something of a YouTuber myself. So if you're watching this video and you come across an idea that you have interest in, but you don't have the skills to do it yet, check out Skillshare. They have thousands of classes taught by industry experts on almost anything imaginable, from graphic design to illustration to video editing to freelance to productivity and more. I'm sure you'll be able to find a class that can help you pursue the ideas in this video. And the best thing is that you can check out all of these classes for free because they're kindly offering a 1-month free trial to the first 500 people that sign up using my link down in the description. So if you're interested, check out the link down in the description below, and thanks so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. It's crazy to see how much a baby can change in the span of a year. They start off as potatoes and turn into a fully functioning little human by the end of it. And if you're a parent, you'll understand wanting to capture this at every monthly milestone. People that know this are seizing the opportunity and selling baby Milestone Blankets. This store here has gotten 123,114 sales, and with an average price of $30, that brings their total revenue to $3,693,420. They started their shop in 2017, so they've done this in just over 6 years. For skills required, you're gonna wanna have an intermediate knowledge in graphic design using Photoshop or Canva. So I'm gonna give skills required a 3 out of 5. For passiveness, you'll wanna customize each blanket for each child's name, but you can easily do this with scripts. So for passiveness, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. For print on demand, you might be wondering how this is a digital item. I've included this and other similar items because there are print on demand services that make custom blankets. They'll take your digital file and they'll print it onto a blanket and ship that blanket to your customer for you. Depending on the provider, they offer a variety of different sizes and materials, and they can do this for a surprisingly low cost, sometimes even $15 or less. So if you don't want to be making these blankets yourself and you want to keep this side hustle strictly digital, working with a print-on-demand service is required. Next, we have music prints. These are prints that feature a song or album that means something to the customers buying them. If you take a look at this niche, you'll see some shops are incorporating lyrics into a design, some are fusing them with a photo, or some that are displaying sheet music in a nice way. This shop in particular has gotten 64,748 sales, with an estimated average price of $12. That brings their total to $776,976. They started their shop in 2020, so they've done this in less than 4 years. For skills required, even though these designs look pretty simple, I feel like they will still require intermediate skills in Photoshop or Canva, so I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. For passiveness, you're going to need to create a new file for each customer because these are personalized. If you need to incorporate a photo into the design, it's gonna be more involved, so for passiveness, I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. For print on demand, this is something that's optional if you wanna increase the amount of profit per sale. I don't have to tell you that the economy is tough right now. Making and sticking to a budget is just a smart thing to do if you want to make the most out of your money. That being the case, there seems to be a rise in shops that are helping people who may not have that much experience budgeting money. There's people selling monthly and annual budget templates and planners to help you become debt-free. This shop in particular has 68,595 sales. The average price for their templates is around $10, which brings their total revenue to $685,950. This is really impressive because they started in 2022, so they've done this in less than 2 years. For skills required, you're going to need some experience in spreadsheet software. These templates are being offered on various platforms like Microsoft Excel, Apple Numbers, or Google Sheets. You'll also need to know the best practices of how to budget so you can set these up. Depending on the type of person you are, these skills might come naturally or they might not, but for skills required, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. For passiveness, this is pretty good because you're selling empty templates that customers will fill out themselves. There's no customization at all, so you don't have to do any extra work for each sale, so passiveness gets a 5 out of 5. For print on demand, I don't see an obvious way to use it to increase sales, so it gets a no. Doormats for your front door. It's the first thing that you see when you're entering somebody's house, and it's something that people love to customize. If you search this niche on Etsy, you'll see a lot of different approaches. From simple designs featuring a family name to more involved ones featuring pictures of pets. This store has 117,301 sales with an average price of $25. This brings their total revenue to $2,932,525. The crazy thing is that they started this shop in 2020, so they've done this in only about 3 years. For skills required, the designs for these are pretty simple. Since you're printing the designs on doormats, you can't be that detailed anyways. So you really just need some basic to intermediate skills with Photoshop or Canva. So for skills, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. For passiveness, you're going to need to personalize a new file for each order, but depending on how you're designing these, it could be as simple as swapping out a family name. So passiveness gets a 4 out of 5. Again, this is another idea that requires a print-on-demand service if you want to keep it digital. Services like Printify will take your digital file and make and ship these out for you. The next niche is printable organization labels. These are labels or cards that people can print out themselves to help with home organization. The specific shop that I'll feature here specializes in toy bin labels, but I could see this doing well in different categories too. This shop has 16,956 sales with an average price of around $8. This brings their total to $135,648. They started their shop just last year in 2023, so they've done this in a really short amount of time. For skills required, again, these are pretty basic designs. The one that this specific shop is selling don't look to be AI generated, but I guess you could go that route if you wanted to also. So for skills required, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 if you're drawing it yourself, and a 1 out of 5 if you're using AI. For passiveness, these are great because they're not personalized or customized at all. You make them once and you sell them an unlimited amount of times. Passiveness gets a 5 out of 5. For print on demand, I don't see an option for it here. Most people will want to print these out themselves, so it gets a no. We've already talked about how much people are willing to spend on weddings, and another thing that they need are seating charts. These are big prints that have a list of all the wedding guests organized by what table that they're sitting at. This shop is selling templates that customers can edit themselves, and they have 160,913 sales. With an average price of $12, this brings their total revenue to $1,930,956. They've started in 2016, so they've gotten to this point in under 8 years. In terms of skills required, these are pretty basic designs, mostly comprising of just plain text. So I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. For passiveness, this is going to depend on what you're actually providing for your customers. If this is just a template that customers can edit for themselves, this is a 5 out of 5. If you're adding the names for them, this becomes a 4 out of 5, because you still can use scripts to automate some of this for you. As for print on demand, I could see customers actually preferring to get a physical print shipped to them. A lot of people don't want to deal with templates, and they don't want to deal with trying to find a local printer that can print something so large for them. So I can see this being a really good option if you want to increase the amount of profit per sale. So print on demand for this is optional. The next niche is Christmas ornaments. If you take a look around Etsy, you'll see a few different approaches to this, but the ones that do well are using personalization in some way. Some are using family portraits, similar to the ones in the art prints in the first idea in this video. So if you're doing that, this could be a way to offer another product while using the same design assets that you've already made. In this feature shop here, they're selling ornaments that are personalized with pet portraits. As of today, they've gotten 150,741 sales, with an average estimated price of $25. And this brings their total revenue to $3,919,266. They only started in 2020, so they've done this in over 3 years. For skills required, again, this is gonna depend on your approach. If you're doing these by hand, skills required is a 3 or 4 out of 5. But if you're using AI, it's much less than that. For passiveness, these are personalized for each order, so there is work to do for each sale that you get. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. For print on demand, again, this is required if you want to keep your workflow digital. You should be able to find a print on demand service that will make these for you. For example, these are offered on Printify, which is a pretty popular option. Next, we have another type of print, which involves patents. It's funny how legal documents have become something that people want to put on their walls, but I can see the appeal. There's a shop here that specializes in these types of prints, and they sell every type of patent, from old cameras to airplanes to even toilet paper. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the legality of these types of things. If you do know, leave a comment down below. But as far as I know, all these patents are long expired and they're publicly available on online databases. This shop has sold 15,723 of these, and at an average price of around $13. This brings their total revenue to $204,399. They started in 2018, so they've done this in about 5 years. Skills required for this one is pretty low. Again, these are publicly available documents, so what you're really doing is just rearranging these diagrams into a nice way to look good on a print. You'll really only need basic knowledge in design software, so I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5. For passiveness, this one's good. These aren't customized, so you make them once and sell them many times. 5 out of 5. For print on demand, this is something that you can definitely integrate if you want to increase your profit per sale. You don't have to do it right away, but the option is there. Pet pillows. It's your pet, but in pillow form. The feature shop here has 57,909 sales, with an average price of a 16-inch pillow at $36. That brings their total revenue to $2,084,724. The crazy thing is they just started in 2020, so they've done this in less than 4 years. Skills required for this one depends on what you're doing. If you're just taking a picture of somebody's pet and you're putting it onto a pillow, it's a 1 out of 5. If you're styling it in some way or redrawing it by hand, it's higher, maybe a 3 out of 5. For passiveness, again, this is going to depend on what you're doing and how much you're altering these images, but it'll probably be a 3 out of 5 to 4 out of 5. For print on demand, this is going to be required if you want to keep your workflow digital, but there are a lot of providers that will make custom pillows now, so you can shop around for the best quality and price. So hopefully you got some new ideas from watching this video. But I do want to say that the point of this video isn't just to take these ideas and straight up copy them. There's a process that I like to do whenever I'm starting something new, and this idea stage is really just the first step. If you want to learn more about how you can take one of these ideas and turn them into a side hustle that actually makes money for you, you can check out this video over here. It's a blueprint with everything that I've learned in my over 3 years of selling stuff online. If not, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.